Hi, and welcome to the Crit Hit Wild podcast, where we talk about all things Marvel Crisis Protocol and review a different character every week. We're your host, Jared.
I'm Brad.
I'm Fred.
Brandon.
And I'm Borka.
Yeah, we have a special guest this week, Borka, joining us. How you been, man?
Good, doing good.
Good. And what about the rest of you? How you guys doing?
I'm doing fine.
Better.
Brandon, you haven't been with us for several weeks now. So how you been, buddy? You been all right?
I'm doing pretty good over here.
Yeah.
Doing pretty good.
Life treating you well?
Yeah. Life is doing pretty strong over here.
That's good. Well, we're glad to have you back. This week we are, it's a little bit of a special episode, I guess. We don't typically do two characters, but these are both similar enough to where we were going to do two characters this cast. Also, I think last week I said this was going to be the Human Torch cast. Well, I fucking lied. It's Sentinels, because they just came out. So it's going to be the Sentinel Mark IV and the Sentinel Prime Mark IV episode today. So, but yeah.
Shocker, Jared's a liar.
Shit! That wasn't part of the cast. Wasn't supposed to be. News and announcements. So Second Wind is coming up in October still. It's the 15th and the 16th, and if you're keeping up with any of the news for it, the waitlist gets cleared out pretty regularly. So if you sign up probably sooner rather than later, you should be able to probably get into Second Wind still. So how's
Also, big news. Brandon and Fred both going.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's not the case. I
Everything
have
he
a
said is
wedding
a lie.
that weekend.
We're all apparently just a bunch of liars, according to
Brandon.
well, no, I mean Brad's lying.
Okay.
You're lying.
Listeners, if you want to see Brandon and Fred at this tournament, send us mail. Make comments.
Oh yeah.
Oh, God.
Let's get this to happen.
If you would like
You make
to,
100. If there's 100 comments by 100 different people, I'll show up.
now I will say that we almost broke Fred, like with peer pressure.
Yes, I would-
Brandon's been harder, but Fred's almost broke. So now if we get the
No.
general public to peer pressure Fred, surely we can make this work.
Now hold on. Hold your horses, everybody. So I was to the point where I was going to go if I didn't have a conflict, but I do have a conflict, and it's a hard conflict.
Whose wedding is
And
it?
It's
it
not
is one of-
Fred's.
It's not yours.
It is not mine. It is one of she who decides to live with me out of her own tolerance for my madness. It's one of her friends.
That you won't marry her.
We're getting there.
It's been 10 years, Fred.
It has not been 10 years, for the record.
Tell the world how long it's been.
5?
About 3 years.
Has it only been 3?
Uh,
I don't believe that. It was definitely pre-COVID, and COVID's almost been 3 years from now.
It's been like 5. Because
huh.
I remember the trips up to Latrobe. That's
Yeah.
how we would get you to go. It's been like 5 years, Fred.
Yeah, it has been like 5 years.
Fred, I think I was making children in 5 years in.
This has turned into the pile on to Fred cat.
Let's just move on. Let's just move on.
Well, flood the
This is my
comments.
fault.
Flood the comments. Tell me you want Fred to go. But yeah, so Second Wind.
Fred.
If you're interested in going, get on the wait list, and you should be able to get in. Like it's, I think, a fairly decent chance at this point. There is a tournament in Charles, West Virginia on September 17th. That'll be run by our lovely Brad. Probably run by Brad. Unfortunately,
Yeah, I haven't told you guys, but one of you might have to run it for me last minute.
Well,
Maybe.
I've let you know that I'm unable to go at this point.
Yeah.
I will not be able to make that one. Fred, did you say you could make that one? 17th?
Here's the conflict with this one.
Oh
is
my
that
God.
Is the Mothman Festival.
That's what?
That is the Mothman Festival that day.
That festival's also on Sunday.
Yeah, I know. And so it's possible I can go.
What about you,
Okay.
Brandon and Borka? You guys thinking about
It's
about
possible I
going
can make
September 17th?
I hadn't thought about it. Maybe.
What about
You
you,
should.
Brandon?
I don't. I don't currently believe I have a conflict.
That's good. That's real good. Well, you
So
might
that's a hard yes from Brandon.
you might be, yeah, that is
Not a-
those are
That is
Brandon's hard
as
yes.
as strong as a yes as we will ever get.
Well, if you're in the area and you would come down and get a few games of NCP on September 17th, what time do you think? About 11? Is that right?
11 registration, rolling dice at 12.
All right. And then there is another tournament at the Fabricators Forge in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and that's on September 24th. That's at 10 a.m., and I believe dice start rolling at 11, and that is a $10 entry fee. So, yeah, Pittsburgh, Charleston, September 17th, September 24th. I think I said that backwards, but yeah, come out to the tournaments. Be fun. If you guys who are listening have a tournament that's maybe local and you want to get it plugged in on here, you can leave us a comment below, or you can email us at crithitwild@gmail.com, and I'll be sure to try to get you plugged in. But I think that's it for tournament stuff. AMG news and announcements. Clearly, we have Sentinels, so we're going to be talking about that. Let's go on to Cerebro announcements. What do you have, Brad?
Okay, so I actually updated the site. Two big updates this week. The first is thanks to Sure Thing, that's his username on Discord. There is now an export to Discord button. So if you go to export list at the very top, there's a little Discord symbol. You click that, it copies it into your clipboard. You paste it into Discord and just send it, and it formats it. It looks really spiffy. I cannot stress enough that this was not originally my idea. Even down to the formatting is basically not my idea. It's all a Sure Thing. I just implemented it. It looks real nice. Second thing, they did add Sentinels, and I probably should have prepared ahead of time for the fact that I knew you could add two of the same model, but I didn't. But I got that up same day that they spoiled it, which I'm pretty proud of. So now you can add two Sentinels to your list. You just click both check marks. Actually, if you click the right check mark, it does both. But one or two, your choice. Pretty spiffy.
All right. Yeah, I was excited that you got those into Cerebro so soon because I was able to start building a list with them. So, yeah, thank you for your hard
I
work.
also have a Sentinel list. It has
Oh, yeah.
3 models, no tactics cards, and no crisis cards.
Hey, I'm 3
But
models with
it's
crisis
there.
cards. No tactics cards. But... All right. Well, we're going to kind of breeze along a little bit so we can get into the real meat of the cast, talking about the Sentinels. But real quick, I believe several of you made it down to the local shop this week. I was unable to go. I think, Borka, you didn't make it down either, did you?
No, I wasn't there.
Yeah, so you guys played some games. You want to kind of cover those really quick before we get into the Sentinels?
Yeah, I got 2 games in, and they were both against the Winter Guard, and I had 2 very different outcomes. In the first game, I was playing Kingpin Criminal Syndicate, and in the first game, I got to pick the Secures, and I won that game. And in the second game, the Winter Guard got to pick the Secures, and they won that game. So that tells you about that matchup. The second game against between Kingpin Criminal Syndicate and Winter Guard was an unbelievable slog that it came down to attrition, and he got ahead on attrition. I was playing against Aaron in that game, and he got ahead on attrition and basically took out all my models except for Kingpin. I had done a substantial amount of damage to him, but he had more models at the end of the game, so I guess they pull ahead on attrition. But in the first game,
How well utilized in that game did he use Crimson Dynamo's rerolls?
Not very much.
Really? Okay.
His
Yeah.
rerolls, no.
In the first game I played against Fred, I never had the power to use those rerolls.
That's interesting. Like the game that I
Yeah.
played in our tournament, it seemed like after like turn one, he actioned for power. Like he moves action for power, and then it felt to me like for the rest of the game, he was kind of like able to do it at least once every turn. So that's interesting. But go ahead.
I think that the differences in the Crimson Dynamo play, I wasn't attacking him in the game against Brad, the first game, and I was attacking him in the game against Aaron. So he had plenty of power in the game against me, in my game against Aaron.
Okay.
Can I just say that the real Rockstar, the person I was most impressed by was Darkstar, and her builder getting able to re-roll all dice.
Yeah,
That's
it's pretty
super
good.
strong.
It's a strong
That's
effect.
real
Reroll any dice.
Re-roll any dice. Yeah, it's even better than what I said. I said it wrong. Yeah.
It's a 5 dice builder, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's energy.
Yep. That's
So
a good ability.
that's solid. And also Red Guardian rules. Just rules. He did so well on the table in both games. But it all came down to the secures. Which secure we did. And if the secures were in Criminal Syndicate's favor, it was real tough for the Winter Guards to catch up
So
when I got ahead.
what secure did you play in your
Who
winning
won?
game?
I played the Superpowered Scoundrels.
And then what did you play in the game you lost?
Riot Spark over Extremis consoles.
Why do you think that is? Do you think it's just because you had the
I think
extra?
that the Riot Spark is a D.
Yeah.
Which means that I have to be attacked on all points except for the back point. And the Superpowered Scoundrels is an E, where
F.
the only fight occurs like... Oh, an F. Sorry. Yeah, E is right down the middle. It was we did play an E. The extract was an E. That's what was in my head, but it was an F.
Brad, I imagine Brad, like when he's at school, that's just what he sounds like. He's looking through students'
F,
papers, and he's
F,
just F, F.
No.
Sorry, go ahead.
But yeah, I think that that's what the advantage that I had on that game is that we were playing on an F scenario for the secures.
Gotcha.
And here's another takeaway. Craven the Hunter with concealment cannot die.
Cover.
He survived way more than he should have.
Fred, do you mean cover?
Cover. What did I say? Concealment. Cover
Yes.
is what I meant. I meant to say cover.
I tell you, the people like it's really split with Craven. I feel like people like if they like him, they really like Craven, and if they like don't care for him, they're like I can't find any use for him at all.
I'm gonna save
There's
my
a
take
big
for the-
difference between normal Craven and Fred playing Craven. I don't know what it is.
Well, no,
but
because
it's
I've
just
heard
different.
someone else was talking about Craven, and they were talking about how amazing he was. I think it was. I don't want to misquote it.
He either clicks for you. He either clicks for you, or he doesn't click for you.
I guess
That's
so.
the thing.
Yeah.
But let's save that for when we're talking about him.
Well, so I know that you were a little low on Winter Guard, reviewing them. I guess I could.
I was, and I think probably wrongly so, because they did fine. They did great actually, and I was super blown away with Darkstar and Red Guardian. They both rock.
Real quick, Darkstar is reroll all attack dice.
It's
Not
reroll.
It's-
Yeah,
It's
this
not
character may
any?
reroll all.
Oh
of the attack
my
dice.
goodness.
Yeah.
This is why we bring you on.
Yeah,
Keep us
thank you
honest.
for the
Yeah.
clarification.
Did
It's like,
Brad
thank you, good night.
did Brad play that wrong?
It is all.
I
Starting to
don't
sound like
think
they
it
both
would have
played it
changed
wrong.
anything in either game, but yeah, it's a little less good, but still good.
Still good. What did you think putting him on the table, Brad? Like, what did you think? I guess putting them on the table in comparison to what you kind of felt about them initially.
They were fun. A little better than I thought that they were going to be, but Not like a whole lot better than I thought they were gonna be.
Okay. Did you get your Winter Guard models put together, Borka?
Yeah, I got them all built. I haven't started painting them yet, though.
I'm excited for you to put them on the table. I think you're gonna like them. All right. Well, this is going to be a long-winded character review, so I guess we're not going to waste any more time getting into it. So yeah, the Sentinel Mark IV, aka Sentinel Mark IV. It is a 3 physical, 4 energy, 4 mystic defense character with 7 stamina on its healthy side. The regular Mark IV is a 4-threat model, and it is size 5 with a short move. It has the Plasma Blast energy attack, which is range 3, 4 dice. After this attack is resolved, it has your standard gain power equal to damage dealt. And then it has the text, when this attack is chosen during the pay power cost step of the attack, this character may spend up to 3 additional power, add 1 die to the attack for each power spent this way. So you can get it up to 7 dice. It has the Physical Suppression Protocols Spender. That is also range 3. It is 8 dice and there's 3 power cost. And it has Wild Suppression. After this attack is resolved, for each wild in the attack roll, the defending character gains one of the following special conditions: Incinerate, Shock, Slow. It has an active superpower, Restraint Cables, which costs 2. Choose an enemy character within 4 in line of sight. The chosen character is pushed toward this character's short. Superpower can only be used once per turn, so similar to the kind of stuff you see out of Venom, Web Warriors, that kind of thing. Then it has a suite of passive superpowers. So it has Master Mold. When building a roster or squad, this A player may include 2 of this character instead of the normal 1. It has the Power Matrix. At the end of this character's activation, it gains 2 power. It has Sentinel Programming. This character cannot be advanced or pushed by mystic attacks or superpowers. When defending against mystic attacks, this character counts wild results in the defense roll as 2 successes. And then lastly, it has Flight and immunity to bleed and poison. So before we get into the character, what we think of the regular Mark IVs, it does have some changes on its injured side. Both the Mark IV and the Prime both have pretty significant changes. So let's kind of go over those really quick. So on its injured side, it goes down from 7 stamina to 6 stamina. And then its Plasma Blast ability turns into Plasma Leak. So it goes down from range 3 to range 2. It stays at 4 dice, but instead of giving you power equal to damage dealt, that bit of text is replaced with Systems Overloading. When rolling additional dice for crit results during this attack, roll 2 additional dice instead of 1 for each crit in the attack roll. And then it also has Systems Critical. So after this attack is resolved, this character suffers 1 damage for each crit in the attack roll. So the big changes for that are it loses a range, it no longer can generate you power, you double up on your crits, but you also take 1 damage for each crit in the attack roll, and none of that is a maze, so it's just stuff that happens. Suppression protocols are exactly the same, restraint cables are the same. Damage power matrix, so instead of its regular power matrix where it gains 2 power at the end of its activation, it now only gains 1. And I believe everything else stays the same. Master Mold is the same, Sentinel Programming the same, Flight Immunity, Bleed, Poison, all that's the same. So, before we move on to the Prime, what do you guys think initially looking at the Sentinel Mark IV? Borka, why don't you take us out for this one since you're the guest this week?
Oh wow. Well, my gut reaction, because I really haven't looked at them super heavy until just now. First off, I think AMG dropped the ball by not making Master Mold 3, because I think 4 Sentinels at 17 would be way cooler than 3 Sentinels.
Okay.
That's just me personally. I really don't like Plasma Leak. I mean, when you flip this guy, he kind of becomes a. I mean, I don't think he's going to do much of any damage or generate much power. I think Restraint Cable is his best ability, which is cool because it basically stays the same. You know, he can do it injured or healthy. I like that he has 13 hit points, so he's pretty beefy there. But I really worry about his damage falling off on the backside. And even if, you know, because it doesn't build power anymore either, so it becomes harder to get suppressions protocols off, and you're doing damage to yourself most likely with plasma leak, so you're not generating power through that. So I'm, you know, first shot, I'm worried that once you flip this guy, he kind of becomes a, paper tiger, and just
Yeah.
kind of restrain cables people around. On his healthy side, I like him a lot. He's beefy.
Mhm.
Do we know what size base he's on? Is it
It's the biggest base.
big base? Okay, I love that he's size 5. I like the big base with a small move. Still love restraint cables. Like I really like his healthy side. I think he's quite cool. The power matrix is strong, so you can suppression protocols if you want to. So I really like his healthy side. But first shot, I do worry about how viable he is once you get him flipped.
All right, let's move over to you, Brandon, because you haven't also been on for a while. Let's hear what you have to say about the old Mark IV.
You don't want someone to go that's who's normally a little bit more positive after that. You don't want to mix it up.
I'm saving. I'm
I
saving
didn't
the
think I was
main.
negative, was I?
No, I think you're fine. We're saving the main
No, that
X-Men man
I
for
was
last.
foreshadowing.
No.
He's getting ready to be real negative. Go ahead.
I don't say. I think they're fun. I think they're fun little characters. I think people who want to play Sentinels will play Sentinels. Um, I don't see much of a reason outside of that to play these models or play the MK4, at least the little bubbies. They do have more health than any other 4-point model that I can think of off the top of my head, which is kind of cool. They are going to stay around, but I'm kind of with Borka here. Once you do flip it, I feel like they're kind of more of a danger to themselves than they are anything else. Um, and I think they're just going to run into a lot of issues at that point. The large base will definitely help circumstance, but they also, that size 5 causes them a lot of issues into some of the models that you're going to see in probably every game you play for the most part, as far as, Malekith and Hulk, because throwing a size 5 character is only going to end really bad for the person who's playing 3 size 5 characters.
Yep.
So that would be my assessment of
I
the
do think
situation.
She-Hulk beats him up pretty quick.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, even like I
11
said,
dice
Malekith.
builder, right?
Yeah, like that, just like She-Hulk, Hulk, Malekith. Like it feels like you're gonna play
Black
these really
Swan.
big baddies. Does Black Swan just have a throw? Does that thing?
She has a throw on everything dies that is not size restricted.
Yeah, it costs 4 power. So yeah, you gotta hit it trigger. Ugh.
Yeah, yeah.
We're talking no triggers
Let-
here, Fred. All right, no triggers. We don't want triggers. We just want to pay 2 dice, charge, and throw a 5-point model into a 5-point model. I mean, if you're playing a matchup where these get thrown, you're gonna run into a real bad situation.
Yep.
But we can get into that later.
All
You're
right,
not gonna have a good time.
Fred,
I
since
do
you're
think they're
oh, go ahead.
playable though. I do want to say that because I feel like Brandon took my comments and like piggybacked on them and make them sound like I don't like them.
I didn't mean
But
that. That was
yeah,
really
yeah.
just
No,
me forced.
I think they're playable. Yeah.
Normally, I follow Fred's like absolute massive levels of positivity, so it's
Well,
usually a little bit
we're gonna
different. So
follow the negativity with Fred's positivity this time. So what do you got, Fred?
Okay, so I like that they are thematic as hell, in that when they start to break, they're like a machine that starts to break really hard. I think that's what they were going for. Like when they are on their flipped side, they are substantially worse. I don't know if we've seen anything that is as substantially worse between the flipped and non-flipped side. I think that the front is really fun. Like the downsides have been covered. I mean, if you're bringing these guys, you have to have Brace for Impact as one of your cards. You have to. There's no question about it. But I like the ability to drag people is really good. They have a very good suppression protocol. Rocks. That ability rocks. And I actually I have a thought here. their power matrix, that they at the end of their turn they gain 2 power. That is a strange way to do that. What is the only substantial difference between they gain 2 power during the power phase and that is that at the very beginning of the game they don't get it.
Yeah, because I guess
Right?
They
so.
can't restraint cables right off the bat.
Yeah, I think they wanted
Range
to.
Okay.
I think that they're trying
Okay.
to circumvent like their spender is only 3. So if they did it, like I think they wanted these guys being like bigger models, and that they're gonna make up like a bulk of your team, or they're I imagine that that's their vision if you play this team, for them to make up a bulk of your team, that they wanted to give them some way to like give them a little bit of extra power. But if they did it any other way, then they would be restraint, like all of them would be restraint cables or suppression protocols.
Every turn.
Yeah, like at the top of the round,
At the very
they
beginning.
can do that to you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think that I'm looking forward to a criminal syndicate list with Kingpin and 2 of these boys.
Hey,
and
hey, hey!
2
That's
other
not till
criminal
later.
syndicate guys.
Hey. Later.
But yeah, they are
Brandon,
a pile of hit points that I think are pretty solid. All right, that's me.
Brandon, you haven't been here. We don't do the lists anymore.
No, I'm doing the list. It's happening.
F. Go ahead, Brad. I'm really hoping that you take us to positive town. I saved you for last.
I am gonna go positive.
All right.
Brandon, my esteemed opponent in this debate, focuses on what they are bad at. They're bad into Hulk. They're bad into people who can throw 5. I'm going to focus not on bad matchups because they are 3 models of your roster. I'm going to focus on good matchups. You throw these 3 models in your roster and you put them in against Web Warriors. What is the Web Warriors player going to do? Like, literally, they can't do anything to these Sentinels. And I love that. Like, that's worth playing them right there. They're good against anyone who's trying to move you off the points, or hard scenario teams that aren't fighty. Like, you drop them into those because those are a bad matchup for the rest of your roster. And you've got a great pinch hitter who's going to win you a game. I also love that they're not like, they're like neutral against X-Men. They don't really stop X-Men from doing what they want to do.
I was expecting
X-Men,
something.
Yeah. X-Men just kind of go ahead and get to do their game plan and probably win that game most of the time. And I like that because that's what happens in the comics. The X-Men always win that fight.
All right. Well,
I would like to note
in Web
that
Warriors' defense, they can still webline all of the Sentinels.
No, they can't.
Why?
because
Because they
programming.
can't be moved. Yeah, they can't be moved by superpowers.
Oh, did they get an ore in theirs?
It's
Yeah.
Sentinel programming.
Oh.
This character cannot be advanced or pushed by mystic attacks or superpowers.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
The last
Yeah.
one was attacks and superpowers, right? Somebody's got a thing with mystics. Well, that's cool. Does that count throws?
No.
No, because a throw is different from an advance or a push.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're
and
also.
cool,
I also
cool,
want to
cool.
point out that they'd be really good into convocation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking that myself. I was like, yeah, 4 mystic with the extra mystic defense. That's pretty solid.
Yeah.
So
I would like to note in the last 24 hours, Brad has bought Nazis and been pro Sentinel. Just saying.
You gotta. If you play X-Men, you gotta play X-Men bad guys too.
Yeah. So I am looking forward to putting these guys on the table. I think that all of you guys have made pretty like really good, like that you've all made really good points as far as like the pros and the cons of the Sentinels. They do have a lot of health. I think that that's really good. They can't be moved by most. I would say your more common displacement effects. So that makes them really strong on certain scenarios. Um, we'll get into the leadership on the prime here momentarily, but the leadership favors getting some dazes and KOs. But I think that
Just
the
dazes.
or just dazes, right? Oh, it is just dazes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think thematically AMG, kind of hit the nail on the head. Like I like it overall. I think that the models look really good, except for the one that looks like he's like jumping out and spooking somebody. I don't like that pose. That one looks kind of dumb. But
I mean, that is a classic pose that they are in the comics and the cartoon.
that looks like a dad in jean shorts jumping out of the closet to scare his child. That's what that
I'm
looks
not
like.
even knowing that it is a classic pose, I'm not a big fan, but they did pull that right from the source material.
Wow. I think that they look great. I think that I understand that they went for a theme, with the whole Sentinel kind of breaking down. Uh, as a competitive player, uh, Plasma Leak is like it's god awful.
Yeah.
It's really really bad. So they are hindered quite a bit once you get flipped. So I think if you're looking to maybe put them on the table competitively, because when you look at like Plasma Blast, like having range 3 attacks is pretty good. Having range 3 attacks on huge base models is very good. It covers, quite a bit of the board. They gave them, scenario control with restraint cables, so you're able to pull people off points and stand on the points. They can't be moved off the points. So I think what you're looking for, at least my first impression with it, is that you're wanting to, and also with playing into Power Matrix, getting to power at the end of your activation, you're wanting to play into setting yourself up for turn 2. They're not going to be doing a whole lot turn 1. You set yourself up for turn 2, and then I think that their game may, hinge on turn 2 and 3. I think if you go into turn 3 and you have a couple damaged sentinels on the table, that I mean you're I think that they suffer from a little bit of like lose harder. So once you start to go down, I think that the ship's going to kind of crash for you really quick. But if you can get yourself really good momentum in turns 2 and maybe even 3, I think that you probably can really lead yourself to a victory. Because when you look at Plasma Blast, which is range 3/4 dice, like if a character had superpower that said spend 1 to 3 power, add dice to your attack for each power spent. Like that's a pretty good superpower. So they kind of have that baked into their Plasma Blast, which is probably what you're going to be doing a lot of on your healthy side. I would think is range 3 7 dice, Plasma Blast attacks, and you have to think that hopefully if with regular rolls that you kind of average out and you get a little bit of a return on investment with that attack. So having a range 3 7 dice attack is really good. Like I said, restraint cables is really good. So I think
So
Oh.
I want to point out that if they did not get worse on their back, that they would be severely undercosted. They're only 4-point models.
I would
and
agree.
They have
I
a lot of stuff.
I think I agree. I do agree with that. We'll just have to see exactly, if it's too much on the injured side. You know what I mean?
I just thought of
that's my
something else.
concern.
Yeah. Something else with the power matrix is that after they've activated and they've gotten those 2 power, it makes it all the more likely that if they take enough damage to get taken out, they won't gain power from some of that damage that they take. They'll max out at 10.
Yeah. Yeah, you're
So
correct.
it's an even less efficient power system. It is about the worst way that you could gain that 2 power. Is at the end of your activation.
I do
That's
think.
the worst time to.
Who said that you had to bring brace? It was you, right, Fred?
It was me. Yeah.
I think that's 100% accurate because what Brandon's saying is true. Like they only have 3 physical defense, and
Yep.
if you happen to if you do play against Malekith, which granted I think it is only 4 models that can throw 5. Am I remembering that correctly? Black Swan can do it. Hulk, She-Hulk. No, She-Hulk can't, right? She just fucks on him.
Five,
She
no.
Yeah, but she can't do it. So Hulk can, Malekith can, Black Swan can.
She-Hulk won't need to throw him.
No.
So
She's just gonna fuck on him.
yeah,
Like
she's
she's
gonna
gonna
punch
beat
their head
ass.
off.
Yeah. So
Rogue can,
He's
right?
gonna twerk him to death.
no, I think Rogue is 4, right?
Rogue's caps out at 4.
Or does it?
Okay, so it is only 3 characters that can throw them. So I think that you can sweep by with the brace, but I do, and also remember that Cassandra Nova is in this. I think they said that she is in this affiliation, and she does have a 2 power cost, like free brace for herself. But
No.
with only 3 physical defense, if a Sentinel gets thrown into a Sentinel, that's real bad for them. So I do think the brace is almost mandatory if you are thinking about playing these guys. And jury's out because, again, there's only a few models that can do it. But, I mean, maybe Indomitable if you really want to double down. But, yeah, so that's my thoughts. Let's go ahead and get into the Prime Mark IV. So looking at the Sentinel Prime Mark IV, he retains the same stat line with the exception that he is 5 threat instead of 4, and that he comes in at 10 health on his healthy side. So let's look at Plasma Blast Mark II. So that is range 3. This goes up to 5 dice. It has all the same text points as your regular Plasma Blast, power equal damage dealt, and you can pay up to 3 power for extra dice. Yeah, Suppression Protocols Mark II. So it is the same as your regular Suppression Protocols, except it goes up to 9 dice, and it jumps up from 3 power cost to 4 power cost. So 1 extra dice, 1 extra power. It comes with the Mutant Hunters Affiliation Sentinels Leadership. So when an enemy character is dazed, after the effect is resolved, choose a number of allied characters up to the dazed character's threat value. Each chosen character gains 1 power. A character cannot gain more than 1 power as a result of this leadership ability each turn. It has restraint cables, which are the same. It has the same power matrix. It has the same Sentinel programming. It does have the reactive superpower pattern analysis. While this character or an allied character within 4 is attacking or defending, during the modified dice step of the attack, this character may spend up to 3 power to use this superpower. For each 1 power spent, this character or the allied character may reroll 1 die. So rerolling up to 3 dice within range 4. Taking a look at the injured side, he goes down from 10 stamina to 8. The Plasma Blast does stay the same on his injured side. Suppression protocols stay the same. The only thing that changes on his injured side, so all of his superpowers and his leadership does stay the same. He now has the Overloading Power Core passive superpower. So during the power phase, roll 5 dice. For each crit and hit rolled, this character gains 1 power. If at least 1 skull was rolled, this character suffers 1 damage. So for every crit and hit, you get a power. So we'll go in reverse order this time. So I guess I'll start us off. I like him. I think that, you know, if they were just looking at, you know, making a prime version of the regular Mark IVs, I think that they've done a pretty fantastic job with it because everything is just nuanced enough to make him feel and look like an upgrade, I guess. Pattern analysis is really good within range 4. So just to put in perspective, I'm like 90. I'm second guessing myself a little bit. I'm like 90% sure they're on huge bases. Brad,
They are. They're
okay.
on. They're on 65 millimeter bases, and Prime's a little taller than Dormammu, and the 2 regular Sentinels are the same height as Dormammu.
Okay, so when you look at that, I do want to touch again on that these are huge base models. So if you think of like a Hulk or a MODOK or somebody, them having range 3 attacks and range 4 superpowers covers a very big swath of the board. When you pair that with huge based models, so they can, like, he's going to be able to pattern analysis unless you're setting up on some kind of B. He's going to be able to pattern analysis on most of his team by proxy of them being huge base models and him being huge base with a range 4. So pattern analysis is good. Like, rerolls are good. Having those kind of rerolls with that kind of range is really good, and being able to roll up to 3 dice is pretty good because you got to look at, once again, kind of touched on what I was talking about earlier. Once you're setting up your turn 2, at the start of the round, unless he's been hit, he'll have 3 power. So you start off with a regular Mark IV. He juices up. He'll also have 3 power. He juices up a 7 dice builder into somebody at range 3. And then you can reroll up to 3 of those dice with this boy. So it starts your turn off fairly strong, I think.
8 dice builder, right?
Huh?
8 dice builder, right?
Well, no. If he's pumping up a, I guess he could do it himself too. Yeah. So it's 8 dice for him, or well, no, not him. It'd be a 7 dice, right? 4 dice on the Mark IVs. If you go with them first, you pump theirs up to 7, and then he can let you reroll 3 of those. He can give
I see what
himself, yeah. That's if you go with the standard Mark IV.
Rerolling theirs.
Yeah, he can make his go up to 8 though. Yes.
Gotcha.
The affiliation, I like it. I mean, it's going to give you a pretty big net on power throughout the game. That is a good catch. I didn't realize it was just when you daze a character. But this is really good, especially when you're going into. So I guess if you talk about it thematically, going into mutants, because a lot of the mutants, at least X-Men and stuff, are of like 4 to 3 threat. Like a majority of them sit around the 3 threat power cost. So it gives you pretty good return. Like when you look at it, your team is probably not gonna your team is probably looking at like 3 to 4 wide. A lot of the games, sometimes you probably can get up to 5 wide. But when you kill, a 3 threat character, you're putting 3 power out on everybody. Once you kind of go into like the Malekith or the Hulk, this affiliation, like you kind of lose some of the benefit of it. But I like him. I think that he's a good leadership piece for the rest of the crew. So I'll pass it over to you, Brad. You can talk about what you think a little bit.
Well, first of all, I wish the leadership was Daze or KO.
Yeah, that would be
That'd
nice.
make it a lot better.
Yeah.
And I think that this model just helps support the fact that if the regular Mark IVs didn't get worse, they'd cost more. Because that's basically what this is. He doesn't really get much worse. He just can take a damage and gain extra power. And he's a point more. So I have no problems with this guy. I think this guy is clearly better than the others and should be for a point more.
Okay. What about you, Fred?
I think that something that you brought up when you were talking about this guy made me think about the other Sentinels a little bit differently. They shouldn't be close to each other at any point. Like they should be in like left, center, and right. And because they're on such big bases, they can affect everything that they need to in that layout. And so, I mean, unless someone has a really long throw or position themselves really carefully, you might not have to worry about them being thrown into each other. You just have to worry about them getting thrown into anything else that you've got.
I think that the only thing that is probably like on your, I do worry about it on your standard like,
Gamma.
Yeah, like gamma or damage or something
fair.
like that. But other than that,
I don't think you bring.
Other than that, like to your point, I do think kind of going back through the cards again, looking at them, like each model is like it doesn't need like other models, right? Like for the most part, they're fairly serviceable on their own. They don't really need support. So pattern analysis is really good, but it's you can do it from so far away that like you can affect a lot of the board and not have to worry about them not hopefully pulling their weight. So, but go ahead.
I just thought of some tact.
Oh, well, we'll save that
Just
for at the very end.
Okay, I'll try to remember it.
Oh, you'll be fine. Go ahead, Fred.
I think that you guys have pretty much covered him. This guy is just a touch better than the normal Mark IVs and is a touch more expensive.
All right, Brandon, you want to take us back down to Negative Town, or are you coming around on him a little bit?
You want to know the worst thing about this model?
What?
The absolute worst thing. They use the same picture for both sides of both character cards.
That's
not true.
That's not.
Then
That's not true. The Prime has his mouth open.
Oh, you're right. Wow.
I noticed that after I made the thumbnails. So the thumbnails are exactly the same, but
That's still ignorant, all right? They had so many opportunities
Funny.
to do cool things, all right? They could have given us 2 cool Sentinel MK or Mark IVs, and then they could have given us a Prime that was just much cooler. But no, they didn't. They didn't give us anything cool like that.
Oh, his mouth is open on his injured side too. Look at them being
yeah.
consistent.
That's
F.
pretty good.
He's got
So
a
that was,
good command.
and they
Eh.
knew that someone like me was just going to complain about it, and they were like, no, we're going to squeeze this in there.
Open
No.
the mouth.
They're like,
Mouth
what?
open.
How can we do this without changing anything? No,
Open
I
the
think I
mouth.
What
I
that
like
mouth
the
do?
leader. I like the I love this side of Brad. Can we keep this side of Brad for literally ever? That's twice now, and I need every bit of it. Um, as far as it goes, I actually really like. I think the Prime is properly valued, and I think it's much better than the regular one. Um, I like the opportunity that you can play this affiliation at low point values with just one other Sentinel and the Prime. So that's all I really got. I don't know, like I think it would even on like a medium throw, going back to like what Fred said, like even with just a medium throw with 3 large bases, like you're gonna be able to get it from one point to the other, uh, more times than not. Like a large base and a medium move is very, very far. Uh, so like it's gonna be tough to avoid the throwing, and I think there are too many highly played secures and extracts where you're gonna need them. They're gonna be a little bit closer than you want them to be
Can
to
the?
throw
I'll
things.
look it up myself.
But
Go
if
ahead.
you're playing 2 of them instead of 3, you're gonna be in a lot better boat, being trying to avoid that. But where they are kind of expensive, if you do want to play all 3, if you do tag them with like a bullseye or an Okoye or something, like that little bubby's gonna die.
I do want to
It's
point
go-
out that all the throws that we're talking about are not superpower throws, they are attack throws. And I like pretty sure I'm finding it right now. I think Hulk's like uh his attack
Ender.
throw is his spender throw is only short. And I think Malekith like he only throws short. So with proper spacing, like I don't think that there's any size unrestricted throws that are medium. I think all of them are limited to short.
yeah,
I
So
I
which was
I think the power throw it's kind of gotten off the rails. It's something you got to think about, but I don't think it's that big a deal. I mean, if Malekith and Hulk are going into you, the fact that he's going to throw you into another Sentinel, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? He's already trashing one of them in the first place, so definitely think
you're
about
already
it.
past
But
that point.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's happening at that point. You know what I mean? He's already behind you. He's dropped your britches, and Hulk's going to town. So
Yeah, and one of the and like the key thing is they are a 3/4 character affiliation, so your odds are you're going to have another affiliation. So if you know for sure like you're gonna go into Malekith and that's just something you don't want to deal with, you just play your other affiliation.
there you go.
Yep.
What do you think about the Prime Borka? We'll end with you. Do you think that the pattern analysis and the leadership make the affiliation serviceable?
yeah, I do. I like the Prime a lot. I think he's a very good leader. I like his leadership. I agree with Brad. It'd be better if it was KO too, but pattern analysis is big because if you keep, I think if you keep all 3 of them healthy, that's a really tough little 13 point knot to deal with. If you can get them flipped, if you can keep the Prime energized and he can pattern analysis for the 2 little guys, maybe like if you do roll a crit, you know, roll the extra dice, but re-roll the crit and try to get it out of the
Oh,
crit
there you
at
go.
that
Yeah,
point.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Borka stole my tack.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
But he's super chunky at 18. I love that, his blast is really good. His spinner's strong. Restraint cables. Like I think he's a very good 5, and I think he does buff the other 2. So like I said, I think the other 2 are solid. I just I'm curious to see how they do once they get flipped. But with that pattern analysis, there's a good chance that he could help them kind of overcome it. And I mean, they throw a lot of dice once they get going, so they they got a lot of hit points, so they could attrition you to the point where, turn 3, you might not have to worry about your guys getting flipped because they've already taken out, you know what I mean, a lot of their opponents. So
Yeah.
and we always say energy that's a good attack right now. Energy is usually a soft spot for people. So
Yeah.
I think he's really good. I think he's probably worth more than the 5. Like with his kid, if you put him at 6, I don't think it'd been terrible. So the fact that he's 5, I think he's really strong, and he makes the other 2 better.
He has the same amount of health as Malekith at 7. So
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So
he
I
has the
do
most
think that
health of any 5-point character. So
I do think that
that's
is one of the
irrelevant.
things that kind of like leads in. Like I said, like I think because I do play competitively. From a competitive standpoint, I think that with this leadership, I think you really want to set up your turn 2, and then after that, yeah, I think you have to get the ball rolling. Because if you don't, and unfortunately, like if you have some bad dice and you can't get those early, kind of a couple early dazes, and really get yourself set up at least a little bit ahead on the victory points, it can spiral downhill. But I mean, if your opponent split fires at all and doesn't start injuring the Sentinels, like they have, I mean, at 13 threat, that's what, 27 health to chew through.
Right.
That's I mean, it's a lot of health to chew through to bring them down. So
Well, and like you said, setting up your turn 2, because of their ranges and their size and restraint cables, it's hard for you to hide characters from them too.
yeah,
So it's like turn 2, he'd have power for pattern analysis. You could pick somebody, pull their little butt forward, and then just go in on them, and you could get ahead in attrition pretty quick on turn 2. And even hard hitters, they have a hard time flipping them. You know what I mean? And I I,
it's
I think they got play. They're interesting.
yeah, without action economy, it is really hard to go through 7 to 10 health in one go
Mhm.
without any kind of support. I'll say
Right.
that much. So
Yeah.
all right, well, yeah, I guess because we're doing 2 characters, I guess what we can do is maybe our first, from what we know for affiliation right now, just based off these characters, I guess you can kind of just keep in mind the Cassandra Nova, who I do think fits in with them pretty well. I mean, she has her brace. They can constantly, all of them can pull people off points. She also has an ability to move people off of points. So I think that she does play into them well, but with the Prime, the Mark IV, and I guess Cassandra Nova in this leadership, I guess we can just look at it as a package. Again, we don't know the tactics cards yet, but I guess what would you guys rate, these models in this affiliation, kind of looking at it. So we'll do something slightly different, but this is a different kind of episode for us. So let's just go in reverse again this time. Borka, why don't you start? What would you give them on the rating scale as a whole?
What is the rating? What scale are we using? Like
The
ABC or
letter, yeah. You're allowed to
F
go
through S.
F through
S?
S, yeah, but you're allowed
S gets no plus or minus.
yeah, F and S get
Okay.
no plus or minus. You can do plus or minus with A, B, C, D.
Okay. Competitively, I right out of the gate, I'd probably put them at like a B plus.
Okay.
I think that I think that they could probably play into like your Guardian or your Sam Vengers, like your smaller people who try to go wide. I think they can play into them pretty well. And then, I mean, so far the biggest knock that I've heard and I kind of feel is like, well, Hulk or She-Hulk or Malekith, and it's like, well, everybody has that problem, so it's not like they're unplayable. If what you're worried about is what everybody's worried about, then you're fine. And I think they do actually match up pretty good against, smaller boards. And I that those size 5 butts and not being able to be moved by superpowers, like that's really strong in scenario play. I mean, not being able to get them off points will be big for them. So I think they're attrition-y and they can hold on to points. So I'd say B plus probably right out of the gate. I do want to see if they get anything else in their affiliation, but I mean, I think that's a really solid. Was it 14, right? I mean, 14. That's
13.
really solid. Yeah, you
It's
can go
They're
it's
13.
13 with
13.
Sentinels or 14 with Cassandra and 2 Sentinels.
Wow, 13 Sentinels. Yeah. I mean, you could go 17 and take like Voodoo, and I think you've got that gives you a mystic attack and ability to get
Voodoo.
yours off.
I'm gonna
And
throw up. That seems way too good.
yeah, I think it's good. Go for like single extracts. That way You're not
Okay.
having to chase around a bunch of different extracts and use voodoo. But all those pushes that they have, I think they're solid.
All right, so B plus. Can I just touch really quick because you said that talking about how they can't be advanced or pushed. It's fucking trash that Arnim Zola can. Like, what is that? That's such a terrible thing. Arnim Zola, which I think we actually haven't talked about him yet, but he does have an attack that is energy, so it gets around the Mystic tag, and if he does damage, he can advance them.
I mean, to be fair, Magneto can't really move him, and he should definitely be able to.
Right? No,
You should
wait.
be able to
He
throw
can't.
'em.
He can't.
Magneto can move them.
Magneto can move them. Yeah, if they're at range 3, he can push them because it's a physical attack.
Ooh.
So he can do that. So it's only mystic attacks. So there's a few. Magneto makes sense. Arnim Zola, come on. Go ahead, Brandon. What are you going to rate these guys as a package as a whole?
He puts a virus in them.
There you go.
Oh,
That's a
okay.
cool
I guess that does make sense. All right, you won me over a little bit with it.
It's like he's convinced. You don't have to continue anything else. He's sold now.
Yeah, I'm good.
I don't have much more to say. I'll give him a solid B minus.
I did not expect you to go that high. Okay, all right, that's surprising.
I like the Prime a lot. I think the Prime's really good, and like I said, I really like the idea. I don't like the idea of playing all 3 of them, but I like playing one with the Prime and then other models.
Okay.
I like a Mark IV with Steve Rogers. I think that'd be cool.
Oh, God.
Just like move up and pull somebody turn 1 and then just sit on a point.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you could. God, Steve
Bodyguard
Rogers
for him,
makes everything good.
What do you think Borka was going to come on here with like cold takes? No, he's bringing the fire.
All right, Fred, what you got?
I'm gonna give him an A minus.
Oh, God.
I mean, what are you gonna do with this much thickness on the table? I mean, like,
What are you gonna do with
these
all that
boys.
ass?
What are you gonna do with these guys?
I need this Fred.
Run up the middle of the table, and they twerk all over your opponents, and then your opponent's gonna have to make it rain with damage in order to get rid of them.
Jinky's
So-
dad.
I mean, I think they're great. I think they're real good.
All right, Brad.
Okay, so Borka stole my tech. I have more tech.
Okay.
Cassandra Nova can do damage when someone ends a movement within 3.
Correct.
So that will trigger off the pulls, the pushes from the Sentinels.
Oh,
so
you're
you can
right.
pull
Yep.
them in, and then you can psychic distraction them.
Yep.
Okay,
Holy moly.
That's right.
that was my tech. Now the rating B plus.
B plus. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna go with B plus. I think that they're pretty good. I think that their scenario presence gives them. I think it gives them a lot of competitive viability in the meta. So yeah, I'm gonna go B plus. So, what are we looking at? Like an aggregate B?
No, B plus.
Yeah, it is a B plus. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, me and Fred bounced.
Don't let
back to
Brandon
B-
pull you down that
B
far.
plus.
he tricked me. All right. Well,
I tricked you. You thought I was gonna give him like. What did you think I was gonna give him?
C minus, something like that.
D minus.
C or C minus. But yeah, all right. Well, that wraps us up for the Sentinels, clocking in at B plus. So pretty positive overall. I think that they're going to be fun. If anything, a full team of painted Sentinels should draw in a new player on like a demo day because that's going to look pretty fucking
they
sweet.
Look fucking bananas.
Yeah,
they look great.
Except for the Oogie Boogie guy. Don't build him. Just
Buy extra packs to only build the cool one.
only build the cool ones. Yeah, I'm gonna buy.
Hey, Brad, lore question. Can you think of anybody else that's out right now that would fit in their affiliation?
No, not that's
No.
out. I've given this some thought for a while now, and I can't. There's some people who aren't out that would be, like Sebastian Shaw. If we ever get him, he could be aligned
Okay.
because he paid for the Sentinels to be built. In fact, he paid for the Mark IV Sentinels to be built.
Oh.
But I mean, you think that we could assume that they'll just put different marks? I mean, that seems kind of bland. But I guess
I think we will though, and I think we'll get Nimrod as a leader.
Yeah.
At some point, Nimrod would be cool.
I mean, he's super unique. Like.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, good luck painting him though, white and pink.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Black Swan she's supposed to have a little bit of that going on, wasn't she?
She's not pink.
I thought they put some like in her skin. Anyway, that doesn't matter. Well, while you kind of have the floor here and talking about lore, why don't you give us some comic book recommendations for Sentinels?
Okay, so it turns out that the Mark IV has been in one issue of comics.
Oh, that's right. You were raging about this, weren't you?
Yeah, like it's ridiculous that they started with a Mark IV because one comic. They appear in other comics, but like one is just like a history of the Marvel Universe, and they're like in a panel, and then the other times they're broken, or they're part of the Tri-Sentinel, like pieces of them. One issue has complete Mark IVs that do stuff. So that's the issue I'm going to recommend. Luckily, it's a good one. So it's Uncanny X-Men 151. This is by Chris Claremont, Jim Sherman, and Bob McLeod. Kitty Pryde's parents are separated, getting a divorce. I don't know if you know that yet or not, but they take her out of Xavier's school.
Spoilers.
And Storm is taking her back. They get attacked by Emma Frost, and Emma Frost and Storm switch bodies. While that's going
As you
on,
do.
yeah, I mean, why not? Emma Frost is a psychic, so like it's within the realm of possibility. Suspension of disbelief. So while that's happening, Kurt Wagner, Nightcrawler, he takes a walk with his girlfriend's sister and gets attacked by Sentinels.
As one does.
You say girlfriend, sister?
Yes, his girlfriend's sister.
His girlfriend's...
No. His girlfriend / sister.
Yeah, fuck the Sentinels. Who's Nightcrawler banging?
boy.
We need to know. There's a love triangle going on here.
Oh,
We
boy.
need to get down to this.
You guys don't know about Amanda Sefton?
I don't know what's happening anymore.
It's Kurt's sister and girlfriend.
I don't know what's happening. I'm not sure how I feel about it.
It's the sister and girlfriend?
Yeah, so...
He's a Targaryen. He's a Targaryen. That's what that is.
Mystique gives birth to a demon-looking baby and throws him over a waterfall into the water. And he is...
Checks out.
He is found by a gypsy woman and raised by this gypsy woman. Well, she has a real son and daughter that he gets raised along with as essentially his brother and sister. After he moves away because he killed his brother, but he needed to. Anyway, I'm not getting into that. He starts dating this woman, and she quickly reveals herself to be his adopted sister. And they date. And they're on again, off again to this day.
Stepbrother, I'm stuck.
Oh, okay. So we started this about a comic about Mark IV Sentinels, and now we're on the front page of Pornhub.
So,
and all I
like
wanted to
I
do is give a
said,
list recommendation, and here we are.
Nightcrawler is taking a walk by the lake with his girlfriend's sister, and they're attacked by Sentinels, Mark IV Sentinels.
Okay.
So everyone shows up to fight them off, including Storm, as you may remember from several minutes ago because we got on a tangent, was possessed by Emma at the time. And
yeah, she's Freaky Friday.
Yeah, and so they have to deal with that as well. And they fight the Sentinels, and I mean, spoiler, this is the only appearance of them. They get beat and destroyed. And once again, it's very weird that these are the first Sentinels. The only thing I can think of is that I believe that these were the size of them and the general look were the inspiration for the Sentinels on the TV show.
Okay.
So I think that's what they were going for, is that tie to the cartoon. But they only showed up once.
Okay. Well, that we came for the Sentinels and we got so much more. So that was great. Thank you, Brad.
Why don't you say the name of that comic again for everyone
It was
listening?
Uncanny X-Men 151.
You can find it on the main page on Pornhub.
Listen, if this is what it takes to get Brad in this rare form, I'm gonna need him to like almost die like every time he's not in this form.
Hey, the listeners don't know that I almost died.
Spoilers.
so.
Oh, spoiler. Sorry, guys.
All right,
To the funeral.
Fred, why don't you take us out with your non-sequitur recommendation?
All right. So what I'm bringing today is I'm not doing. Oh boy. Okay. So what I'm doing today is one that you guys are gonna have to tell me whether I've recommended it already or not, because it's such a wonderful thing that I think it's very possible that I've brought it up multiple times, and that is the video game from the early '90s called Chrono Trigger.
I don't recall that one.
You have not on the podcast.
I am not on the
Yes.
podcast. Okay.
Good game. Good
This
game.
this is an out and out, maybe one of the best games of all time, probably in the top 10 games of all time,
Bold
in
statement.
my opinion. It came out on the SNES or the Super Famicom, if you're going to
Oh
be
God,
really
hold on,
pedantic
Fred. What
about
game are we talking about? I wasn't paying attention.
it. Chrono
sure.
Trigger.
Chrono Trigger, top 10 game of all time.
Yeah, I stand by that statement too. This is a game with a magnificent score. Like the music in the game is, if you just look up the music in the game and start listening to it, you will be taken someplace else by that alone. This is the classic JRPG, and there's a plane going overhead, so I apologize. But
It's only
it
a
is-
top 10 game because they didn't make 10 Portal games. They only made 2.
I mean, that is accurate. But
That's accurate.
the reason I'm bringing this, this game involves an awful lot of time travel, and you go to the future at one point, and in the future there are robots that go around suppressing the remnants of humanity that one of your party members, whose name is Robo, is one of. You fix him up and you turn him into a good character, or he's just innately a good character. What am I saying? You got I can't describe how good this game is. You have to play it. It is a work of modern art.
Is
Incredible.
That
this
is-
the original one or Flames of Eternity?
Well, it is the original one that I am talking about. What is this Flames of Eternity that you were saying? This is not a thing.
It's the second one they made for the SNES of Chrono Trigger. Chrono
They're
Trigger, Flames of
okay. So
Eternity.
one of the reasons why this is forefront in my mind is that there was a game that was the spiritual successor of Chrono Trigger, and that is a game called Live Alive. It sounds weird. I think that's probably a translation thing. It only came out in Japan, but it recently came out for the Switch in a completely remastered version,
Oh,
and
look
that
at
is also great. But that's not my recommendation. Play Chrono Trigger. That's the end.
Did you guys ever play
If-
that X-Men like 4-player like side scroll and beat 'em up like in
Yes.
the arcade?
I
Yeah.
played
The one that you can download for your phone.
Do they have that on the phone?
They have one of them, and it's really good.
What?
Is it the one where, like at the end of the first level, which is the Savage Land, you fight Magneto, but then he turns into Mystique?
No, well, I think that is one of them. Isn't there one like the very first level you're fighting Sentinels in the streets? Right?
I don't remember it very well. I remember
I think so.
being Nightcrawler and teleporting all over the place.
Yeah, that was a good one.
You mean all over the minor circle of the screen?
If you
Are you
if
talking about Mutant
actually
Apocalypse?
people
What
at
game are we
home
talking about? I'm so confused.
people
what's
at
happening.
home, if you want to play fun, good X-Men games, play the X-Men Legends games, especially the
Those
second one.
are good games. They are really good. Is that the one where Colossus can like throw people if you play him?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I remember that because I played it with my buddy Jason, and he would not quit throwing me, and I wanted him to quit. And that's all he did for a majority of one of the levels, pick up Wolverine. Like I was playing Wolverine, pick him up and throw him. It's very aggravating. But anyways. I almost forgot. I was gonna see if you caught me, but do you want to give us your little recommendation, Brandon?
My list recommendation, sure thing.
Yeah.
I've got it right here.
Okay, go ahead.
I think the Sentinels fit really well with another very fun splashable affiliation called Wakanda. And you can finish that list out with another fun little thing of Malekith, Bullseye, Hulk, and Winter Soldier.
Jesus Christ.
So
And that list can do all kinds of things,
What
and
the
it's a fun time.
yeah, what the fuck? That's what, 3 Sentinels, then 4 Wakandans, and then
No, just 3 Wakandans. You don't play Killmonger. You don't
oh,
have
3
Killmonger.
Wakandans, and then what is it?
Malekith, Bullseye, Hulk, and Winter Soldier.
That's awful. What a roster that
Oh.
is.
I don't think it's awful at all.
It is the what that roster is the Power Gamer roster.
That is the thickest roster.
It is thick
That
as
is
fuck.
so thick.
And you have a very good list at all point values.
All right.
Oh man.
Yeah, you do.
See,
Look.
this is a fun little part. Hey, Fred, if I buy Chrono Trigger for the SNES and it's not a top 10 game of all time, are you going to reimburse me?
No.
This game's like this game
My
is like
answer is
$150. All right, I need to.
My answer is no because it will be.
Oh, look at the confidence.
I'm
Okay.
confident.
Then why wouldn't you
confident in
say
the quality
yes?
of this game. Oh, then yes. You know what? I will, and I genuinely mean it. If you don't love this game, if you buy it and you don't love it, then I will reimburse you. But buy it as an emulator, damn it. No, don't do that. That's illegal. What am I talking about?
No, I'm gonna buy the original cart and play it on my original SNES with my big back TV. I want to get full immersive in this. All right.
I do want to do a small disclaimer that I'm sure, Fred, for these of you listening at home, it is limited to reimbursement for one Brandon and not for if you buy it at home. So they'll be messaging Fred.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. We'll make that very clear. He is not reimbursing anyone who
Limited to
buys
one
this game.
Brandon.
Fred's gonna owe out
sure that-
$10,000 by the end of the year.
It
This
is not a
a
cheap game.
legally binding statement.
Yeah,
do you
the cheapest
Brandon,
You know
available
why it's not
copy
cheap?
Brandon, do you have
because
a
it was
classic?
limitedly made.
Do you have an SNES classic?
Yeah.
It's on there.
That's not as fun. I want Fred to pay me. I thought it was. I was actually. I just hooked it
I
up in my
thought it
room, and I
was
was actually
too.
getting ready to go check to see if it was.
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, you're gonna love it because it's great. The quality
Well,
stands out.
Next week, I'll have a full assessment.
Oh, okay. I look forward to that. We should change the that content where Fred gives a non-sequitur recommendation, and then Brandon comes back the next week and says whether or not it was crap.
It's good.
It was good or crap.
To be fair, most of the ones he's given
To be
so
fair.
far have been legitimate, right? That I've been a part
Very
of. They've all
good.
been.
I
They've
think
been
that
fine. He's played it safe on a lot of them. You've given like Breaking Bad as one. Like, yeah, that's good. Like, we're not
No, I
gonna.
haven't. I've not given Breaking Bad yet. I
Have you?
will. I will
What
give
did
it.
you?
I
You
love that
gave.
show.
What TV show did you give? That's like super popular and
Oh
like
God, I
everywhere.
don't remember. I don't write these things down.
Oh
I'm
my
not that
God.
organized.
Come on, Fred. I need you to. I swear you did Breaking Bad. Maybe in my head, I just
I-
thought you were gonna do.
Did
Breaking
I? You know what? Now I'm second guessing. Have I done that?
I think you did. I think because I
The
feel like we
only
had
way
this
to
exact.
solve this is if someone goes back, not me, and listens to every episode.
I mean, you can. I've listened. I feel like you did. I'll find it. I will find it. I'll come back with that information as well.
All right. Well,
I got a lot on my plate.
that wraps us up for this week. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and Borka, thank you for coming on being a guest for us this week. That's awesome.
Yeah. My Discord was just ringing. I was like, see what this is all about.
So-
Much appreciated. Much appreciated.
Yeah, thank you guys very much. Unless we get some new spoilers that we don't know about, next week will be the original Human Torch. So be on the lookout for that.
Do we have anyone left that hasn't been spoiled?
Red Skull has not been, his back has not been spoiled yet. I think we have Arnim Zola and the original Human Torch. We're good to go. And then, yeah, I think we're waiting on.
I mean, There's also the Blob, Pyro,
Yeah.
new Sabretooth, new Wolverine that we know about and know nothing about the rules.
Yep.
Yeah. I doubt if we get those before we get Red Skulls back,
Yeah,
I might riot just on
we're
principle.
due Red Skull's back.
I feel like they've just forgotten that they haven't done that.
Maybe it doesn't change.
Maybe not. That'd be good.
Like it's fine. Don't worry about it.
If he has 14 health, that's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's
Any
they are
five?
giving 4, right?
Do what?
I don't know these things.
I think he's a 5-threat model.
I think you've already put him on the.
We'll cover that later.
All right.
He is a 5-threat model.
Thank you guys for joining us. Bye.